Okay, it's Monday morning. A quick video here to introduce week 7 and maybe just review week 6 for a hair. Um, let's see, the most important thing is that I'll be grading the 10-page literature reviews that were due last week. I'll be doing that this morning, hopefully get them back to you this afternoon. I'll also be looking at when we're having our conversations this week. Hopefully not today because I haven't looked yet, and I plan to be grading all day long. Okay, so I look forward to our talks too, where we can talk about your literature reviews and your paper outline. Um, and let's see, we'll talk a little bit then about last week in the political frame. Um, Again, the notion is not that you engage in office politics and that sort of derriere puckering that typically is thought of as a part of office politics, but rather this notion that in a pluralistic environment of your organization and frankly of our society, um, in order to be effective, you have to be able to know where you want to go, understand who will be behind you and who will be opposing you, think about who your supporters might be and reach out to them in order to craft a supportive coalition. And lastly, you need to negotiate. So um, that has nothing to do with office politics. It just has to do with the reality that um, there are competing ideas and interests within your organization, and you have to know how to act within that competitive, be effective within that competitive environment. The other piece is that as the executive director, you need to make sure that there are institutionalized and legitimizing arenas within which this competition of ideas can occur and be resolved, that conclusions are reached. Otherwise, this sort of festering of competing ideas will poison your organization. And essentially, that's what happened at Los Perros. And so, for me, the critical thing for the new president to do is to set a course, get the political landscape, yes, to find a coalition that will back her, but almost as importantly is this notion of creating legitimizing arenas in which the competing ideas can actually be heard, um, and weighed, and decisions can be finalized and legitimized by the open process. Okay? This week we move on to the symbolic frame, and the key here is that um, again, we're not just robots of the structural frame that just, robotically get up every day, do our job, go home, eat, sleep, and work. No, we're people who really want to be part of something bigger than ourselves, um, who want to feel like we're making a difference, making a contribution, and so an organization has to somehow emote those sorts of feelings from its employees and its supporters. And so this notion of creating, hopefully it's not fake, but creating um, an affinity for an organization because of what it does and what it tries to do is really critical to maintaining the enthusiasm and the commitment of your employees and supporters to the organization. Okay? And sometimes that requires you then to uh, think very carefully about what that ethos, values are of your organization, and to nurture them as long as you can, but at times understand that you may have to change that a little bit, given changing realities in the environment in which you work. It may be that the old ethos and the old values uh, and structure your the sort of like moral structure of your organization uh, maybe can't survive in new environments and under new conditions. So you have to figure out if and how you can change, or whether you stand strong against the storm. That's actually the key dilemma facing the Circus Oz, uh, as described in the case study, and we'll talk about that online. Okay? All right. I'm going now so I can grade papers. Okay. Thanks. Look forward to talking with you this week. Bye bye.